Experience the epic series that the world is watching and raving about. Catch up or relive the first 3 seasons of Game of Thrones, now on HBO On Demand, and watch back-to-back episodes anytime on your schedule. This year, join the Legion of Followers and enjoy past seasons of Game of Thrones, plus the premiere of Season 4 on April 6th on HBO. Don't miss out. Sign up for HBO and get free access to HBO On Demand.
2 convicted cop shooters will soon learn their fate. The National Security Minister invites the F&M to look at the NIA, a new library for South Andros, plus a new burger joint urges customers to eat it like you mean it. We've got those stories and a whole lot more tonight. I'm Monique Toot, and MP12 starts now. Topping news tonight, attorneys for 2 convicted cop shooters have urged Justice Carolita Bethel to exercise mercy in their client's case, despite their victims' call for them to be sentenced to life in prison. Bethel was expected to sentence Maurice Umbrister and XL Josie Jr. today for the attempted murder of Superintendent Clayton Fernander. However, she postponed that sentencing to next week, Friday. As Maurice Umbrister and XL Josie Jr. listened from the prisoner's dock, Umbrister's probation officer Christina Swain told the court that during an interview with the victim, Superintendent Clayton Fernander, in March 2014, the senior police officer told her he wants his shooters to be sentenced to life in prison. His reason? To prevent them from committing any other criminal offenses upon their release from prison. Swain says the 31-year veteran told her that since he was shot outside his home last year, he is now more aware of his surroundings and those of his loved ones. Fernander was present in court this afternoon dressed in his police uniform. Despite his wish that his shooters receive life imprisonment, Josie's attorney Jarom Munger urged Justice Carolita Bethel to exercise mercy in this case, insisting that there is some good even in the worst of us. He noted that Josie has accepted responsibility in this matter and is remorseful about his decision to participate in the criminal act. This, he says, shows the prospect of rehabilitation. Meantime, Maurice Umbrister's attorney Wayne Monroe argued that his client, who is 24 years old, is young and has no previous convictions. He also complained that his client has been sleeping on the floor of a 6-by-9-foot prison cell he shares with 4 other inmates, which he suggested is inhumane. Umbrister's probation officer noted in her report that he was found guilty in prison on 2 separate occasions where he was found in possession of a cell phone and used threatening language on one of those occasions. He was reportedly found with a cell phone on a 3rd occasion, but the matter was dismissed. However, she noted that Umbrister, who has admitted to smoking marijuana since the 8th grade, was unable to express regret because he maintained his innocence and insisted he hasn't seen his co-accused in years. In late February, a 9-member jury accepted the prosecution's contention that Umbrister and Josie shot Fernander, a policeman of 31 years, while trying to rob him of his chain in April 2013. Umbrister was also found guilty of illegal possession of a handgun and ammunition. During their testimony, both men said they were confessing to their crimes under duress. Assistant Director of Public Prosecutions Neil Brathwaite and Kristen Stubbs prosecuted. Sentencing is now set for next Friday at 2 p.m. The Democratic National Alliance is threatening to sue the government from here to thy kingdom come if it is discovered that the National Intelligence Agency is in fact spying on Bahamians, as suggested by Free National Movement Deputy Leader Loretta Butler Turner. DNA leader Bramble McCartney says if the F&M has evidence of illegal activity within the NIA, it should release it, insisting that the DNA would not hesitate to act.
If we, the DNA, had the evidence, we would act on it. And if you're spying, and you're not set up properly, and you have no legal basis to do it, we will sue you from here to thy kingdom come. From here to thy kingdom come. Because that's a no-no. That's an infringement on the constitutional rights.
Questions over the NIA arose during an F&M rally this month when Butler Turner told supporters that the National Intelligence Agency created by the Christie administration appears to have no legal standing, but seems to be engaged in domestic spying on Bahamians. National Security Minister Dr. Bernard Nottage called her comments irresponsible, insisting the NIA is after criminals and is not interested in anyone's private business. However, McCartney says the NIA's mandate remains a mystery.
I can only assume it's to collect intelligence based on criminal activities. But you got to be very careful that whatever you collect, you may not be able to use in a court of law if it's collected by an entity that's illegal in itself. I just find it amazing. This government keeps doing things the wrong way over and repeatedly.
Meantime, Dr. Nottage told reporters the official opposition is welcome to view the agency and added that government is willing to show the F&M what officials are doing. On Monday, F&M leader Dr. Hubert Minnis called on government to shut the NIA down until legislation to govern the agency is passed. Nottage said there is no need to shut the program down, adding that the people who work for the agency come from the various law enforcement agencies and they are operating in their capacities as law enforcement officers. He insisted that some people simply do not want an intelligence agency to exist in the Bahamas, but noted that his ministry is responsible for national security and security is largely based on intelligence. Nottage said a country which he did not name has expressed interest in assisting the government to develop that agency. He recently promised that legislation for the NIA would be passed in the House of Assembly before the end of the year. Government is under immense pressure from the international community to sign on to dozens of international agreements. That's according to Minister of Financial Services Ryan Pinder, who says a special unit has been set up to sift through the myriad agreements. Jasmine Bonamy reports.
According to Minister Pinder, the government is under serious pressure to sign on to a number of agreements. Pinder says the government is doing all it can to decide what it should and should not sign on to, but he admits that there are serious pressures from all sectors of the international community.
It's difficult, but we have restructured internally to ensure that we have a full-time dedicated group.
According to Pinder, a unit within the Finance Ministry has been set up and fully staffed. Pinder says that unit is currently reviewing 8 to 10 international agreements.
So we have a dedicated unit that's concentrated on maintaining coverage as well as evaluation in those areas. We also are very fortunate to have the mission in Geneva, which we've just staffed with a very senior officer who's both a trade officer and financial services officer, who from the European side in Geneva.
Pinder admits that the pressures are intense, but the government cannot sign on to any and everything.
We do things with a very measured and a very disciplined focus. We do so with full consultation and full buy-in by our private sector. That's important. You don't want to do anything that will cause unsettledness within the industry itself.
Meantime, the government's decision to sign on to international tax compliance system is expected to cost millions of dollars. Pinder says the government anticipates spending anywhere from $1.5 million to $4 million to put in place a system which will allow it to comply with the global demand for tax information exchanges, and between $250,000 to $500,000 a year to maintain and administer the system.
We are designing the FATCA system in a way where it will be flexible enough to really address all of the automatic exchange regimes. So you would be able to have an infrastructure that's not only U.S. specific, in other words. We've shortlisted our RFPs now. The ranges are probably, I'm just going off the top of my head, but they're anywhere between $1.5 million to $4 million to put the infrastructure in place, and then probably about $250,000 a year to $500,000 a year thereafter to maintain the licenses for the software and the support structure.
Pinder says the system is being designed to accommodate demands ranging from those associated with the Foreign Account Tax Compliance Act, set to take effect beginning this year. The government has agreed to comply with FACTA, but has yet to become a signatory to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development's Automatic Information of Exchange Initiative. Reporting for NB12, I'm Jasmine Bonamy.
Prime Minister Perry Christie was on hand today for the official opening ceremony of the South Andros Public Library in Money Rock, South Andros. Christie and other government officials joined members of the Lyndon Pinling Foundation, Urban Renewal 2.0, and the local Money Rock community on the steps of the newly opened building for the official ribbon cutting. Christie explained to a modest crowd at the event the library is just another step in government's plan to boost the island's infrastructure with major investments.
I indicated that in this term, we are going to spend at least $100 million in infrastructural improvements on the island of Andros. I meant it, and we are doing it now.
All right. Yes, sir.
And it is important for you to know this.
Yes.
And just to show you the context of what we're doing now. These books in this library that we now know will be here in perpetuity, meaning forever. It will not be stopped. It will not be closed.
The library has already received a donation of books from Urban Renewal, and a further donation of books as well as computers is expected in the future. Speaking to the press at the conclusion of the ceremony, the Prime Minister talked about the importance of a library in education and praised the Lyndon Pinling Foundation for its role in opening of that library.
It represents a center for learning and research, and in a community where it is really needed. And so we applaud them for this occasion. But what it does is it reminds us of the role that Lyndon Pinling played in our country.
Christie said the library's opening reminds him of the country's obligation to carry on the works of Sir Lyndon Pinling, especially his vision for Andros. Sir Lyndon served as the MP for South Andros.